Be like water with Buddha's timeless wisdom. Have you ever felt like life is a constant battle, an endless struggle against the waves of uncertainty, stress, and chaos? What if I told you that the key to a more peaceful, fulfilling life lies in a simple yet profound teaching from the Buddha? Be like water. For the next week, I embarked on a journey to embody this wisdom, to truly live and breathe the philosophy of flowing like water. In this video, I'll share my experiences, struggles, and insights on what it means to be adaptable, resilient, and free like a flowing river. So sit back, take a deep breath, and let's dive into this journey together. And before we start, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more content on mindfulness and personal growth, and let me know in the comments, what does being like water mean to you? Chapter 1. The Wisdom of Water in Buddhism. Water's wisdom is deeply embedded in Buddhist philosophy, offering valuable insights into how we can navigate the complexities of life. The adaptability, resilience, and humility of water provide a profound lesson on how to cultivate inner peace, balance, and wisdom. The nature of water and the impermanence of life. One of the core teachings of Buddhism is the concept of impermanence, anicca, the idea that all things are in constant flux. Just as a river never remains the same from one moment to the next, our lives, emotions, and experiences are ever changing. By embracing this truth, we free ourselves from the suffering caused by clinging to things we cannot control. Water does not resist change, it flows, bends, and adjusts according to its surroundings. Whether it encounters a rock, a hill, or a dam, it finds a way forward without struggle. Likewise, when we learn to flow with life rather than resist it, we cultivate equanimity, upekkha, a state of calm and acceptance that allows us to face challenges with grace. Softness as strength. The power of humility and patience. At first glance, water may seem weak or fragile, but in reality, it possesses immense strength. A slow, persistent stream can carve through solid rock, shaping landscapes over time. This mirrors the Buddhist principle of right effort, samavayama, the consistent and patient application of wisdom and virtue. In our lives, we often equate strength with rigidity, but true strength comes from the ability to yield and adapt. A rigid mind breaks under pressure, while a flexible one bends and adjusts. Practicing humility, patience, and openness allows us to overcome even the most difficult challenges, just as water wears down mountains over centuries. Letting go. Embracing non-attachment. Buddhism teaches that much of our suffering stems from attachment, upadana, our tendency to cling to desires, beliefs, and identities. Water teaches us the art of letting go. It does not try to hold onto a specific form. Instead, it effortlessly moves forward, adapting to whatever container it is placed in. We, too, must learn to release our attachments, whether to material possessions, relationships, or even our self-image. By doing so, we cultivate freedom, vimutti, and inner peace. Just as water never holds onto past obstacles, we should not dwell on past pain but continue moving forward. Flowing with life. Adaptability and acceptance. The Buddha emphasized the importance of mindfulness and presence. Water flows effortlessly, fully existing in each moment without resistance. Similarly, when we practice mindfulness, sati, we learn to respond to life with awareness rather than reactivity. Instead of fearing change, we can embrace it as part of the natural flow of existence. When faced with difficulties, rather than resisting or fearing them, we can ask ourselves, how can I flow with this situation instead of against it? This mindset shift allows us to navigate life's uncertainties with wisdom and serenity. Stillness and clarity. The reflection of a calm mind. A turbulent river is murky and unclear, but when water is still, it becomes a perfect mirror, reflecting everything with clarity. Similarly, a restless mind is filled with distractions, worries, and desires, preventing us from seeing the truth clearly. Through meditation, Diana, we cultivate inner stillness, allowing wisdom and insight to arise naturally. When the mind is calm and undisturbed, we gain clarity about ourselves, others, and the nature of reality. Just as water reveals its depth when it is undisturbed, our own inner wisdom surfaces when we learn to quiet our thoughts. Chapter 2. The Illusion of Control. We live in a world that constantly pushes us to be in control of our careers, relationships, health, and even our emotions. We micromanage, overthink, and stress ourselves out trying to hold on to things that are beyond our control. But have you ever noticed that the more you try to control life, the more exhausted you become? Like a river trying to flow upstream, you find yourself fighting against reality, resisting change, and struggling against the natural flow of life. The burden of attachment. Buddhism teaches that suffering arises from attachment, our deep-seated desire to control outcomes, people, and circumstances. When we cling to a specific result, we create expectations that often lead to disappointment. The tighter we hold onto something, the more painful it is when it slips away. The illusion of control fuels anxiety, as we constantly try to manipulate situations to fit our desires. Instead of rigidly gripping onto plans and expectations, we can learn to adopt a mindset of acceptance. The Four Noble Truths teach us that suffering is inherent in life, but liberation comes from letting go. This does not mean we become passive, but rather that we move with life rather than against it. Embracing impermanence. One of the fundamental teachings of Buddhism is impermanence, anicca, the idea that everything in life is transient and ever-changing. Just as the seasons shift and the tides rise and fall, life is in a constant state of flux. When we resist this truth, we create suffering for ourselves. Think of a leaf floating on a river. If it tries to resist the current, it will struggle and sink. But if it surrenders, it moves effortlessly with the flow of the water. We, too, can learn to surrender to life's natural rhythms, trusting that change is not something to fear, but something to embrace. The wisdom of letting go. Letting go is not about giving up, it is about trusting the process of life. The Buddha encouraged us to cultivate non-attachment, vairagya, not as an act of disengagement, but as a way to find true freedom. Non-attachment allows us to experience life fully without being imprisoned by expectations and fears. This practice can be applied to everyday situations. Instead of fixating on achieving a particular outcome, we can focus on our efforts and intentions, knowing that results will unfold as they are meant to. When relationships change, careers shift, or unexpected challenges arise, we can remind ourselves that clinging to certainty only leads to suffering. The power of surrender. Surrendering does not mean being passive. It means responding to life with wisdom rather than resistance. It means acknowledging that we cannot control everything, but we can control how we react. Meditation teaches us this lesson beautifully. When we sit in stillness, thoughts arise and pass like waves on the ocean. We learn not to cling to them, but to observe them and let them go. In the same way, we can approach life, being present, accepting what comes, and trusting in the natural unfolding of events. Living with ease. By releasing our need for control, we free ourselves from unnecessary suffering. Life becomes lighter, our minds become clearer, and our hearts open to deeper peace. Rather than fighting the current, we learn to float. So what if, instead of fighting against the current, we surrendered to it? What if we embraced the flow of life rather than resisting it? In doing so, we discover that true strength lies not in control, but in trust. Chapter 3. My 1-week experiment, living like water. For 7 days, I challenged myself to apply the wisdom of water to every aspect of my life. Here's what I learned. 1. Mindfulness. Flowing with the present moment. One of the biggest lessons I took from this experience was learning to fully embrace the present. Too often, we're caught up in regrets about the past or anxieties about the future. But water doesn't dwell on where it has been or worry about where it is going, it simply flows. I practiced daily meditation, focusing on my breath and the sensations of the present moment. Whenever my mind started racing with worries, I reminded myself, just like water, be here now. But living like water requires more than momentary awareness. It requires complete surrender to the now. I observed how water does not resist its current reality. Whether it flows smoothly or encounters turbulence, it does not judge the experience. By meditating with this perspective, I deepened my understanding of impermanence. Each moment, like a drop of water, arises and disappears. The only thing we ever truly have is now. 2. Resilience. Overcoming obstacles without resistance. When a river encounters a rock, it doesn't try to push it away, it simply flows around it. Similarly, in life, obstacles will always arise. The question is, how do we respond? Instead of getting frustrated when things didn't go my way, I practiced acceptance and adaptability. I reminded myself that resistance creates suffering, while acceptance brings peace. And guess what? Life felt so much lighter when I stopped fighting against it. But resilience doesn't mean passivity. Water adapts, but it also shapes its surroundings. Over time, even the hardest stone is softened by its touch. This experiment taught me the balance between effort and surrender. I found that by aligning my actions with nature's rhythm, I could overcome difficulties with grace instead of force. Problems that once seemed overwhelming became opportunities to move differently, to embrace change, and to trust the unfolding of life. 3. Letting go. The art of non-attachment. One of the most profound realizations I had was that clinging creates suffering. Whether it's relationships, success, or even our own identity, attachment leads to fear, fear of loss, fear of change, fear of the unknown. By embracing impermanence, I learned to let go, to stop holding on to things so tightly, and in that letting go, I found freedom. In Buddhist philosophy, water is often used as a metaphor for non-attachment. It does not cling to any shape, nor does it resist transition. It flows effortlessly, never trying to hold onto a single droplet. This realization transformed how I viewed personal struggles. I had spent so much of my life trying to hold onto control over plans, expectations, and even relationships, but the more I let go, the more peace I found. I also applied this principle to my thoughts. Just as water carries leaves downstream, I practiced observing my thoughts without attachment. I visualized my worries floating away, allowing my mind to become like a still lake, reflecting reality as it is, without distortion. 4. Humility. Embracing the low places. Water does not seek the highest ground, it flows to the lowest places, nourishing all it touches. In this, I saw a lesson in humility and service. In our pursuit of success and recognition, we often forget the quiet strength of humility. During the experiment, I focused on embracing humility in my interactions. Instead of seeking to be right, I sought to listen. Instead of striving for control, I trusted in the natural unfolding of events. I realized that true strength lies in being adaptable, not rigid, just like water. In Taoist philosophy, Lao Tzu describes water as the softest yet most powerful force. It is precisely because it yields that it can never be broken. This principle guided me to practice humility not as a weakness, but as an inner strength, one that allows us to move through life with grace, patience, and wisdom. 5. Compassion. Nourishing those around us. Water nurtures life effortlessly. It asks for nothing yet provides for all. Inspired by this, I turned my attention outward, practicing compassion in small, everyday moments. I took extra time to check in on loved ones. I listened more deeply. I extended kindness without expecting anything in return. In these moments, I realized that like water, we have the power to heal and uplift others simply by being present and generous with our energy. When we embody the nature of water, we learn that the greatest strength is in giving. Compassion does not drain us, it replenishes us, just as a river that flows freely never runs dry. Chapter 4. Practical steps to be like water in your life. So, how can you start applying this wisdom today? Here are 3 simple yet powerful steps. 1. Practice mindfulness daily. Take a few minutes each day to meditate. Breathe deeply, and fully immerse yourself in the present moment. Water doesn't rush, it simply flows. Learn to slow down and just be. Mindfulness is not just about sitting in silence. It is about bringing awareness to everything you do. When drinking tea, feel the warmth of the cup in your hands. When walking, notice the sensation of your feet touching the ground. The more present you are, the more you embody the fluid, effortless nature of water. 2. Embrace change and uncertainty. Whenever you find yourself resisting change, ask, what would water do? Instead of fearing the unknown, trust in the flow of life. Everything is temporary, and that's okay. Life is in constant motion, like a river that never stops flowing. Often, we cling to comfort, fearing the discomfort of transformation. But growth only happens when we allow ourselves to move beyond familiarity. Accepting impermanence liberates us from suffering and opens us to new possibilities. Embrace the uncertainty, and like water, you will find your way. 3. Let go of the need for control. Remind yourself that control is an illusion. Instead of trying to force things to happen your way, trust the process. Just like a river that carves mountains over time, things will unfold as they are meant to. When we grasp too tightly to outcomes, we create tension. But when we release attachment, life moves effortlessly. Imagine a stream trying to force its way through a mountain. It would only create resistance. Instead, it finds a path around obstacles, carving its way through persistence and patience. When we surrender to life's natural rhythm, we discover peace, resilience, and profound freedom. 4. Cultivate flexibility and adaptability. Water takes the shape of whatever contains it. It is soft yet powerful, yielding yet persistent. To embody water's nature, practice adapting to circumstances rather than resisting them. Whether in relationships, career, or personal growth, rigidity leads to suffering. Holding on to fixed ideas about how life should be creates frustration. But when we open ourselves to possibilities and adjust to change, we move with life rather than against it. Be like water, fluid, open, and ready to transform with ease. 5. Nurture compassion and connection. Water sustains all life without discrimination. It does not ask for anything in return. Inspired by this, we can cultivate compassion in our interactions with others. Kindness, like water, has the power to heal, nourish, and uplift those around us. Each day, practice small acts of generosity. Listen without judgment, offer support, or simply smile at a stranger. Just as water nurtures everything it touches, our compassion can create ripples of positivity in the world. By practicing mindfulness, embracing change, letting go, staying flexible, and nurturing compassion, you can embody the wisdom of water in your daily life. Flow effortlessly, trust the journey, and allow yourself to be in harmony with the ever-changing currents of existence. Chapter 5. The Profound Peace of Flowing with Life. By the end of this week-long journey, I felt a profound sense of peace, freedom, and clarity. I realized that true power comes not from control but from adaptability, resilience, and trust. Life is unpredictable. There will always be storms, obstacles, and challenges. Yet, the more we resist, the more we suffer. The Buddha taught that suffering arises from attachment, the clinging to fixed outcomes, the grasping at permanence in an impermanent world. But when we embrace impermanence and let go of our need to control, we find liberation. Like water, we must learn to yield without breaking. Water does not resist, it moves around obstacles, carving paths effortlessly. When faced with difficulties, instead of fighting, we can soften, observe, and trust the natural rhythm of life. This is the essence of non-attachment, not passivity, but the wisdom to discern when to act and when to let go. Meditation teaches us this principle firsthand. When thoughts arise, we do not suppress them, nor do we chase after them. We simply observe and let them pass, like clouds drifting across the sky. Similarly, when life presents hardships, we acknowledge them without resistance, allowing them to come and go. In this practice, we cultivate patience and equanimity, realizing that all things, joys and sorrows alike, are transient. To flow with life is not to abandon responsibility, but to move in harmony with the present moment. Trusting the unfolding of life does not mean we cease to strive. It means we no longer suffer in our striving. We act with intention but detach from rigid expectations. We engage fully yet hold lightly. And that, my friends, is where true peace lies. Chapter 6. Final Thoughts plus your turn. If you've made it this far, I truly want to hear from you. How do you embody the wisdom of water in your own life? Have you ever experienced a moment when surrendering, rather than resisting, brought you unexpected peace? In Buddhism, water symbolizes flow, impermanence, and the power of non-resistance. Just as a river adapts to its surroundings, flowing around rocks, adjusting to the land, never clinging to any single path, we too can cultivate this wisdom in daily life. Instead of fighting against circumstances, can we soften and allow life to unfold? Can we, even in difficulty, trust that each moment is exactly as it should be? Perhaps you faced a time when clinging to control only deepened your suffering. And in the moment you let go, relief washed over you. Or maybe through meditation, you've learned to observe thoughts like waves, rising, passing, and never permanent. The mind, like water, finds clarity when still, yet retains strength when it flows with purpose. By sharing your reflections, we create a space of wisdom and learning together. Your experience may resonate with someone who needs to hear it, just as someone else's journey may offer you insight. Let's build a community where we explore what it truly means to be like water. If you found value in this message, take a moment to support this space. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. But most importantly, take this wisdom beyond the screen. Live it, embody it. Flow, don't force. Trust, don't fear. Be like water. See you in the next video.